Stephen Avery raped his own underage niece. Can someone explain to me how you can defend Stephen Avery after reading this eyewitness report from his underage niece?
I can tell you one thing that, yeah, he forced me to have with him.
Okay.
And he was like, well, he would tell me things like, if you don't do this, I'm gonna hurt you, if you don't do this, I'm gonna set your house on fire, or that I might hurt your dad, and if you don't do this, that I was gonna...
What kind of things did he mean by if you don't do this? Can you give me for an example? Like you said, if you don't do this, I'm gonna set your house on fire. Do you remember what that was exactly you had to do, or he would?
I think it was one time that he wanted me to meet him in Manitowoc.
Okay.
And I was like, I can't. I'm staying home tonight. He was like, well, meet me in Manitowoc. Tell your dad that you have to do something, you have to go to the store. I was like, I was just at the store the other day. And he goes, well, tell them that you need to get something at Walmart. I was like, okay, whatever, cause then he would say he told me that if I didn't meet him there he was gonna hurt me. I was like, you can't hurt me.
How would he? Did he threaten how he would hurt you, or?
No, he would just say that he would hurt me.
Would hurt you?
Yeah. He said he would hurt my dad or he would hurt my mom. And I didn't want them to get hurt.
Right.
And then there was a couple of times that he told us that, or told me, that if I didn't do something that he wanted me to do, that he would set our house on fire and that we would have nothing. And then...
Did you believe him?
Yeah.
Or were you scared of him?
'Cause he's pretty scary.
Yeah.
I didn't like him.
Yeah, I can see why. And are you still scared of him to this day?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when I heard he was going to get out. I was like, Dad, I'm not going nowhere by myself.
I don't blame you.
I even told my managers that I won't work alone if I knew he was out. Like, now they have me working with somebody because I'm afraid that he would get out and that no one would tell me.
This account is corroborated by Stephen Avery when he says, "She always told me she wouldn't say nothing." Link to a YouTube video. How can anyone defend this guy? They are two different things. Do people not understand that? Someone can think he's innocent of killing but feel he's guilty for this. Thinking or defending someone because they think he might be innocent of one crime doesn't mean that they're defending him as a person. Also, this whole narrative of I think he's a bad person so he should be in jail regardless, paraphrasing, so please don't come at me saying I misquoted or something, isn't how the law works. There are bad people who do not commit crimes. Being a bad person doesn't automatically mean someone should be in jail. People against Avery don't seem to be able to understand that logic. Sometimes bad people also commit crimes and deserve their punishment. Some people are just bad people, but that doesn't mean they should be behind bars because they're jerks. I've said before and I'll say it again, if there is enough evidence to convict Avery for this, then bring charges now. Don't wait for him to potentially get released and then bring new charges to put him back. Charge him and hopefully convict him so that if he ever gets released for the murder, he doesn't get a chance to go free and potentially harm anyone else. Stephen Avery could be the most horrible person that has ever existed. But that still doesn't mean he should be in jail for a crime that he didn't commit. Not to mention the real killer gets to go free. If he is guilty of this, by all means charge him with it and prove it in court. Maybe if the police focused on charging him with crimes he actually committed, we wouldn't need to talk on this subreddit. Because nothing in that has any meaningful bearing on the murder case that is a controversy. When I say I defend him, I mean in a justice kind of way. And not only do I defend him, it means getting the truth out there, for the people that have suffered, including the Hullbachs. You throw everything else out of the scope that's not related to the death of Teresa, because sadly way too many have suffered this miscarriage of justice. According to Kathleen Zellner, link here, we have talked to the niece and she denies the allegations. This has never been denied by the niece. She goes on to say, I think the police were actively coercing witnesses like Stephen's niece. Then she goes on to discredit Kratz even further by saying, I have never seen or heard of a prosecutor not pursuing such charges. I am not saying this exonerates him, but to come out and say it's factual that he raped his niece is reckless. If the police used the same coercive techniques they did with Brendan, it's not difficult to picture them convincing his niece to turn against Stephen. Regardless of whether he did or didn't, it was ruled not admissible by Judge Willis and couldn't be used against him. Stephen raped Marie. It wasn't forcible rape, it was statutory rape, but rape just the same. Marie got caught up in the hype of Steve's celebrity status, which made it easier for him to take advantage of her, not blaming her at all. Many supporters were made to believe that nothing ever happened between Steve and Marie. When the truth couldn't be hidden any longer, the family said Marie had a crush on Steve and pursued him. They stated they had love letters from Marie to Steve that proved she was in love with him. All adults in her life failed her, and the poor girl got caught up in the celebrity hype of him being in the news and getting so much attention from the media, which he used to take advantage of her. Obviously, the adults that failed her include Steve. He's the main culprit, but the adults who knew about it and allowed it to happen are also to blame. Either way, doesn't prove he killed TH. He's great. As a villain, I have no idea who he is, and I am thinking Joffrey Baratheon already. You've left a ton of info out surrounding all of this. This case was investigated months earlier. You did know that, right? Furthermore, after Avery was charged in mid-November 2005, Pagel sent Wendy Baldwin after Marie. This went on for months until February 2006. Finally, Baldwin got so frustrated because Marie wouldn't flip. She threatened her with a John Doe hearing. I guess Marie had had enough by then and said, "What do you want me to say?" Gotta ask yourself, why wasn't Avery charged? Don't try and deflect your answer with, well, they didn't need to. This went well into 2006. This was similar to what Wiegert and Fassbender did to Jody, which I've documented much of that. Even when she was pissed at Avery, she wouldn't parrot back the ridiculous they tried to get her to say. Marie got afraid of the cops and what they might pull. I'm sure Candy was up her ass about it too. After all, she's just as responsible as anyone for Brendan getting sucked into this. If you are going to tell a story, tell all of it, or at least the context. Stephen did what? When was he charged for this? Was this really incest like you're implying, or were they blood-related? Is there evidence for this other than a recanted statement? Something strong like cops feeding multiple pieces physical evidence to a minor? Or the multiple pieces of evidence linking Colburn to the RAV, including photographic? It's a little bit strange when you think about it, that he was prosecuted by a vile corpse fantasizing, projecting helium-voiced predator rapist. Given the Ken hit against Bobby to protect him, I wouldn't be surprised if he had a copy of that child for himself, as well. It was pretty ballsy for a lawyer with no balls to put in hearsay into his failure of a fantasy novel. I guess that's why he's no longer a lawyer. And yet, one never charged him. Is a disgusting excuse of a human being. Oh no, I hope this helps Colburn with the Gilter lawsuit. So every eyewitness report is true? So in skis. Thumbs up. Alright, so I'm a big fence sitter on the Halbach murder, but you're lying to yourself if you think he didn't, at the very least, have a physical relationship with his 17-year-old niece. How you could interpret him saying, "I don't think I got nothing to worry about with Marie. She always told me she'd never say nothing." And then him chuckling after Barb says, well, nothing did happen, so why would there be anything to say? In any other way? Obviously there's something there, let's not be willfully obtuse here. Believe her allegations or don't, but I think your common sense would tell you that people don't just say things like that for no reason. No, he didn't. I bet you defend Ken Kratz all the time. Lol. Nobody said he was a good guy, but just because he did some crimes doesn't mean he did all the crimes. The police used his history to frame him twice. It is not his fault they haven't charged him for a crime he actually committed yet. Because people are actually thick and think he is innocent based off a biased Netflix program. Proof? Her word against him. Bravo, original poster. Thank you for caring about this woman. Of all the crimes that Stephen Avery has been accused of, none of them makes him a killer. Bobby's computer searches describes the crime supposedly committed against Teresa Halbach.